Alright, people. Review of the week time. So, a lot to talk about. But obviously, the main talking point is going to be what took place over the course of the weekend in regards Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. Talk about a few of the fights that were on the undercard. We'll touch briefly on the BT show, or TNT show that happened last night as well. But this is probably going to dominate the video. Crawford versus Spence. Now, if you look at the undercard, Yunis Tellez stopped Sergio Garcia. That takes some doing. Sergio Garcia is a solid European level fighter. Nonito Donaire took an L, and that's the 8th loss of his career. He didn't get a chance to break his own record of oldest bantamweight champion. And to be honest, I think it's time Nonito Donaire hangs them up. Which is, we all love Nonito Donaire. It is looking like it's time. He says enough's enough. Father Time appears to have won out, as he always does. And sadly, I think that's happened to Nonito Donaire. Isaac Cruz won a very lackluster performance over Carbonara. There's not much to say about it. Styles didn't blend together at all well. Someone actually in the Element group said that he is best suited to a UK undercard, which I had to laugh at. But I was kind of like, well, yeah, it is kind of suited to that. Not Cruz, not Pitbull, the opponent. And we get to the main event, which we'll be talking about now. Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. So, we all know what happened. Terence Crawford absolutely destroyed Errol Spence, but it's still like, I've obviously gone back and watched the fight several times because one, you have to watch it to appreciate the talent we have in Terence Crawford, because he is a tremendous talent. I mean, he really is. When you see him, he makes the sport of boxing look like anyone could do it. He makes it look so easy, when in actual fact he is tremendously talented, skilled, and you could try as hard as you could, but it's very rare you'd see a fighter as complete as Terence Crawford. And him going in there against Errol Spence, you know, I picked Terence Crawford to win. It seemed like the majority of people I spoke to and the majority of comments I read were picking Terence Crawford to win. So the win of Terence Crawford isn't shocking, not in the slightest. You know, I expected him to win, truth be told. But I don't think there were many people who envisioned what we would see taking place on Saturday night actually happening. I think that watching it, one, you were in awe of what you were seeing with Crawford, the skill that was on display, but again, you were looking at it like, what is going on in there? In a sense of, this is too easy for Crawford against someone like Spence, who I did expect would give Crawford a very tough fight, but he didn't. You know, the only round you could conceivably give Errol Spence was the first round. You might want to give him a share of the third round, but that's it. Every other round it was Crawford, and Crawford big. Even the round like round 8, which he took off, it was still a Terence Crawford round. And the more I watched the fight, Errol Spence tired in it. His face was bashed up after only a couple of rounds. And one thing I was noticing was, I said it in my post-fight review, is that with Errol Spence, yeah, he looked nervous on the way to the ring. That can burn a lot of energy. But to me, it looked like he was fighting in full gear, in top gear, just to stay on track with Terence Crawford. And even that wasn't enough. Whilst Crawford didn't look like he was going through the gears at all. It really did show just how much of a talent Crawford is, but I really did not expect the fight to be as one-sided as it was. I was watching, obviously, Blue Collar Sport TV. We all know me and Dell are very good mates. And he was talking about, he didn't do a prediction, well, he did a prediction, but he didn't do a breakdown as such. He didn't go into reasons why he feels Crawford wins, or give a case why Spence could win or anything like that. He talked about almost like a sixth sense feeling that Crawford is going to win this fight. He's going to stop and hurt Errol Spence. And he said that he feels Spence's punch resistance has gone to the dogs. And judging by what we saw take place in the ring last night, you have to agree. You really do. And, you know, I don't want to take away from Crawford with this statement, and I hope nobody thinks I am taking away from Crawford. But I do have to wonder, because I've always suspected this since it happened, but I wonder how much trauma from the car crash has affected Errol Spence in his boxing game, because at the end of the day, he's only had 2 fights. And he's had one against Danny Garcia, who was never an elite welterweight. Yes, he was very good at 140, but at welterweight, I mean, Danny Garcia and his team were known as the Cherry Team. I mean, let's cast our minds back to 2016, the end of 2016, when Danny Garcia was WBC champion. This guy wanted to fight Sam Eggington. Yes, Sam Eggington. Give him 100 grand to fight Sam Eggington, who I don't even think was British champion at the time, or he'd actually just lost his British title to Bradley Skeet. That's Danny Garcia wanted to fight, right? And that's who Spence fought in his first fight back after the car crash. And then he fought Yordenis Ugas, who is a good fighter, but Yordenis Ugas is not really, like, Yordenis Ugas is good, but he lost to Sean Porter. You know, he's lost to the really good welterweights. He's a very good welterweight, but is he at that level of, you know, the cream of the crop and then the elite? No. So we never really got a gauge on where Spence was. And then in this fight, boy, we learned big time. I have to imagine that there had to have been residual damage from the car crash. There's no way he got through that, apparently unscathed, but not suffering some form of residual damage. There had to have been. It was such a violent crash. Not to take away from Terence Crawford. Based upon what I seen there, a prime Spence still loses. But maybe he has a little bit more of a chance, maybe. In terms of Crawford, I mean, what can you say? This man is a tremendous talent. And many of you will know I've been very high on Crawford for many years. And I think he's tremendous. I really do, you know. People talk a lot about pound for pound, and you'll notice I haven't mentioned it at all this week with regards to Niue or Crawford, because, to be frank, I don't do pound for pound. I don't really do the concept of it. I don't talk about it. At the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, the top 3 fighters in boxing are Crawford, Usyk, and Niue. Have them in whatever order you want. But I just find I find pound for pound a very abstract kind of concept, and too many variables to really go in and do it. Just from what I've seen from an achievements point of view and a talent point of view, they are the 3 main guys. No one can dispute that. And Crawford is up there for a reason. He is a tremendous talent. There are fights at 147. Obviously, he's going to get a mandatory slapped on him with the IBF of Boots Ennis, which is a good fight. I can't help but feel that they'll do... Well, so Crawford will certainly, I reckon, move up to 154 and try and pick up a vacant title if Charlo vacates. And I can't help but feel that we may yet get the Spence rematch, because Spence has talked about it. Crawford gets say on what weight it's going to be at. Whether he does it at welterweight again, maybe wants to make a defense of his titles, I don't know. Or have the rematch, you know. Wouldn't surprise me if Charlo vacates those belts, that Crawford gets made mandatory for one of them. Maybe a WBO, I'm not too sure. But maybe they'll do it for a vacant title at 154, I don't know. In terms of Spence, I wouldn't advise him taking the rematch personally. I don't think that he'll beat Crawford, even if it's at 154. And I wonder how he'll be moving forward, because that fight was such a brutal fight for him. He took such a beating that I wonder, will he ever be the same again after that? Because that was a really, really... It was an aging fight. You know, Spence has not lived the cleanest life outside the ring. We know that. Yes, he was the younger guy, but I spoke in the pre-fight about Crawford being the older but having the younger body. You know, Spence has been through a lot, and he's not lived a clean lifestyle, whereas Crawford has. Consummate professional. And a beating like that is just going to age you further. I just can't help but feel we may not see Spence. Maybe we haven't seen Spence at his best. Maybe the last time we saw Spence at his best was against Sean Porter. And we've never seen, which is a sad thought really when you think about it, 4 years ago. But maybe we'll never see him even close to that again. Who knows? In terms of the card that happened in the UK last night, look, I didn't watch it. I seen Liam Davis stop Jason Cunningham in a round. That takes some doing, but I can't help but feel Jason Cunningham is a shot fighter after the brutal, devastating, which really should be a no contest knockout defeat he suffered last year against Alani Tete, who subsequently failed the drugs test. And I believe has been banned. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he's actually been banned by UCAD for that. I think he has anyway. That really should be a no contest, just so you know. He was knocked out. It's still on box rec as a 4th round knockout for Zalani Tete, and he really pieced Cunningham up in that fight. Really should be a no contest if that's the case, though. yeah, I can't help but feel that he was really damaged badly, because it was a vicious knockout that he suffered against Alani Tete, and going in there against Liam Davis. If this was the Jason Cunningham who fought Galal Yafai, different story, but it's not that Jason Cunningham, unfortunately. I've interviewed Jason Cunningham, I've met him in person, he's a very, very nice man, and I wish him nothing but the best. So whatever he does, we will see. Young Moses Atelma was out last night. He's actually back out again on the Zhang versus Joyce card, which would be good, in Wembley Arena on September 23rd. That undercard, I'll talk about that now in a second. It should be a good undercard, to be fair. So he fought Kevin Espinola. Yeah, he's only been stopped once, and Moses Atelma couldn't stop. Now, I haven't seen the fight, but I did hear Joe Stunner Boxing mention that he felt that Atelma switched off. He didn't change the game up at all. He had a guy in there looking to survive, and he never really showed anything else. He just kind of resigned himself to it's going to be a points decision, and really didn't do anything. So I'll have to go and have a look at it and really have a gauge, because I hope that's not the case with young Moses Atelma, because he's very talented. Do I think he'll break Tyson's record? No, I don't think he will, but I expect big things from him. It's good that he's getting the rounds in, but he shouldn't be switching off if that's the case, and I will have a good look at that as well. In terms of the Joyce Zhang card, it's not looking too bad. Sam Noakes is going to be on the undercard, big puncher. Pierce O'Leary against TBA, Frank Warren's go-to guy. TBA, he loves him. That's his best buddy. That's like Frank Warren, even on fight week, TBA is there. Have no fear. Tommy Fletcher is on the undercard as well. Anthony Yard versus Ricky Summers. You know, Ricky Summers never been stopped. Lost 3 times. Lost to Dan Aziz, Andrea Sterling, and Frank Buglioni. Correct me if I'm wrong. No, the Andrea Sterling fight was it. I was thinking of someone else there. But yeah, domestic level fighter is Ricky Summers, but durable. So we'll see how Anthony Yard looks. There was rumours that it was going to be Joe Smith Jr., but apparently Joe Smith Jr. looks set to take on Gilberto Ramirez sometime in October. I mean, Ramirez was meant to fight Gabe Rosado. It was back in March. Thank God that fight didn't happen. Thank God. And it didn't happen because Ramirez was something like a flipping cruiserweight, like nearly 190 pounds or something like that. So that guy is like, that guy's a cruiserweight, and he needs to fight a cruiserweight. Because this guy at light heavyweight is just, I don't even know. But that fight is not a bad fight, to be fair. I don't know how much Joe Smith Jr. has after the Artur Beterbiev loss. Hasn't fought since then, so I'll wait and see on news for that. Now, speaking of Artur Beterbiev, I was looking forward to him versus Callum Smith. Really looking forward to it. It's reportedly now been postponed. This is according to Mike Coppinger. Beterbiev injured again. Apparently it's a dental injury this time. As much as I want to see Beterbiev versus Bivol, the injuries are too frequent now. I can't help but feel that Beterbiev is on the slide. I think he's on the slide, and I don't know. Apparently they're going to reschedule it. I don't know. Would Eddie Hearn maybe look to do Smith versus Bivol as an alternative? Because Bivol, haven't heard of any names mentioned as an opponent. Callum Smith wants a world title shot. There you go, Dimitri Bivol. They fought in the amateurs. Bivol even spoke a couple of years ago about going down to 168. So why not do it? Both guys are with Matchroom. There you go. I think that if Beterbiev and Smith, if it's going to be dragged out, why not do that? Because I know for boxing politics they're not going to do, which is stupid, but it is what it is. They're not going to do Beterbiev versus Bivol. And to be honest with you, I'd love to see it, but I want to see Beterbiev firing on all cylinders. I don't want to see him versus Bivol if I know it's going to be an over-the-hill Beterbiev. Because prime for prime, Beterbiev versus Bivol is incredible. It's an incredible fight. But I want to see a close to prime Artur Beterbiev. I don't want to see an over-the-hill guy fighting Dimitri Bivol. So we'll wait and see what happens there. Excuse me. In terms of other news, it's announced KSI is going to take on Tommy Fury. Logan Paul will be on the undercard 14th of October, Manchester Arena. Book it in, lads, if you like that kind of stuff. I don't really... The Jake Paul one was somewhat interesting, but now it's just kind of like... For me, like, I mean, if there are people who like it, if that's their thing, then that's their thing. But in one sense, as I've said several times, I hope to God that the people who like that kind of boxing, the influencer boxing, can maybe be inspired to watch the boxing, the real boxing, as we say, the Queensbury boxing, the stuff we all love. That maybe it'll make some fans out of them. And I genuinely think it will. I genuinely think it will. It may take some time, but I think a lot of these will eventually trickle into main boxing, which I'm actually really hoping they do. In terms of some of the other news, the WBA have now officially approved a special permit from Lee Wood to defend his WBA featherweight title against Josh Warrington next. Not mandatory challenger. Winner will be ordered to face their mandatory no later than 120 days after the fight. I don't know about other people, but I really don't like it when a fighter coming off the back of a loss can instantly get a world title shot. I don't like that. I think that some of the sanctioning bodies, the WBO, I'm pretty sure in their rules you have to have a win before you can challenge for a title. The WBA are saying, do what you want. Josh Warrington, has he earned a world title shot? No. It's a big money fight. I am aware of that. And, you know, I think it'd be a decent enough scrap. I'd say probably I would edge towards Lee Wood winning the fight. I've heard it's going to be in Sheffield, not Nottingham. I don't think they can get the city ground, but it'd be on neutral territory. Sheffield is in the north of England, so they'll do it there. In terms, I seen it sounds like something Frank Warren would say, but it's actually Bob Arum was asked about the Tyson Fury Francis Inganu fight. He says, and I quote, "It's a tremendous matchup. Is it, Bob? Is it really?" He says the guy hits like nobody we've ever seen. Yeah, because he's never had a pro fight, so yeah, he does hit like no one we've ever seen. I've never seen him hit someone with 10-ounce gloves on. So you're right there, Bob. Two giants fighting each other. I think it's going to be a tremendous attraction, a great fight. It could be somewhat dangerous for Fury. He was spending too much time with Frank, Bob. He's spending way too much time with him. Because this ain't neither dangerous, nor exciting, nor anything really. And, you know, Bob Arum has kind of kept a bit of a hush-hush over the Fury situation over the last while, but obviously he still is co-promoting them, and obviously he still wants a bit of the bag, so, hey, Some news coming out of Chris Eubank Jr.'s camp that he has split with Roy Jones ahead of his rematch with Liam Smith, which is just a little over a month away. Roy Jones Jr. revealed that. That is an interesting one. Now, that one, I really don't know whether to make heads or tails of that, because in one sense, like, I would say it's a good move, because I just don't think Roy Jones is the right fit for Eubank. I think that you could be a tremendous fighter, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to translate into a tremendous trainer, which Roy Jones obviously trying to do. Eubank seems caught between styles, certainly with Roy Jones. He's trying that long-range box. He's trying to look Roy Jones-esque. That's not him. He is great when someone comes at them. As we saw in the third round, he lets the uppercuts go. Yes, he makes some defensive mistakes, but against someone like Liam Smith, do what you know works against someone like that. When you start trying to change things up, it can be a bit awkward. Having said that, I firmly believe that if you're going into a big fight, you know, you need a little bit of consistency in the camp. You don't want to be changing trainers so soon coming up to a big fight either. So, who does Eubank Jr. really have? Would he go back to Ronnie Davis or Adam Booth? God forbid he gets David Hay to train him. I don't see that working out too well. I don't know. If I was picking Liam Smith before, if I was a bit kind of like hesitant to pick Liam Smith, I'd make him more of a favourite right now. I seen Caleb Plant hit Jamal Charlo in a little altercation they had backstage at the weigh-in for Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. He likes getting into the altercations, doesn't he, Caleb Plant? He really does. He likes getting into those altercations. If that's the setup of fight, then just flip and strip him already of his belt. Because if Charlo and Plant are setting up a potential fight at 168, why does Charlo still have a world title at middleweight? If he's not fought in 2 years and his next fight's going to be at 168, strip him. For God's sakes, WBC. It's reported now that Devin Haney versus Regis Prograis is now reportedly agreed for October 28 in Las Vegas. Prograis will be defending his world title, his WBC super lightweight world title against Devin Haney, which I think is an excellent fight. I really do. I think that is an excellent fight. It's going to be very, very, very interesting to see how exactly they deal with one another, because I genuinely do think that fight is... I think that fight's going to be good. I'm not going to lie, I think that fight's going to be good. I would love to have seen Devin fight Shakur. That might still be something that they look to do, but I think him at 135 is done. I really do. So, the big talking point over the last couple of days has been Conor Benn and UCAD. So, Eddie Hearn and Conor Benn were talking about on Friday, were declared that they were cleared. That was by a national anti-doping body who they basically have cleared him, and he's been provisionally unsuspended, as far as you want to say that. Like, he's eligible to fight in the UK, put it like that. Now, UCAD have released a statement saying that he's been cleared as of Friday, that he's no longer provisionally suspended by the National Anti-Doping Panel, but they insist they have 21 days to appeal the decision, so the case may not be over. Essentially means that they can launch their own investigation. Look, I don't really know what the situation... This whole Benn UCAD situation is bizarre, if you ask me. It should be as straightforward. It's either innocent or he's guilty. I really don't know what's going on with this whole situation. I would say let's wait and see what UCAD do. If they have a national anti-doping panel saying Benn's A-OK, if UCAD do dispute it and they do decide to suspend him, can they do it within their jurisdiction? Bizarre. It's a whole bizarre situation. It seems like it's never ending. Let's wait and see what happens next. It's just like we think one chapter closes and then it's over, and then no, look, there's a mini game to follow. Let's have a go. That's what it seems like now at this stage. It really does. It's bizarre. It really is. Let's see. So, announced for the Eubank versus Smith undercard. I was talking about that earlier. Good lord. Frasier Clark versus Dave Allen. Oh boy. That's a terrible fight, if I do say. Horrible mismatch. Dave Allen, I know what's going to happen. He's going to come in not in shape. He's going to take an absolute Hail Mary beating. He'll probably retire again, or he'll have a couple of fights against obscure opponents, do a before and after pick of how big he was and how much weight he's lost, say he's ready to go again. He'll take another fight, not turn up in shape, and it's rinse and repeat. It needs to stop for Dave Allen. I don't know if he's money issues or what the issue is, but he shouldn't be in there at this level. Like, he's taken too many beatings. He doesn't try. You know, it's amazing to think that Eddie Hearn, and you know, I gotta give Eddie Hearn props for this. He worked with Dave Allen, and he gave Dave Allen opportunity after opportunity after opportunity that Dave Allen took, and he never made the most of them. Coming in out of shape, taking fights on short notice that he shouldn't have taken. You know, Eddie Hearn is often criticised for putting him in there with Luis Ortiz and stuff like that. At the end of the day, right, I'd always say, if a promoter can offer you a fight, that's why it's like with Kell Brook and Golovkin, right? Eddie Hearn can say to Kell Brook, there's a Golovkin fight, this is how much money you're going to make, do you want it? But he's not putting a gun to that fighter's head and saying, you have to take it. The fighter is choosing that. And if Dave Allen is choosing to take fights that he shouldn't be taking, he's also choosing not to come in shape. He's choosing to give himself no chance of winning, hoping to land one shot from out of nowhere and take a beating. That's ultimately what he's doing. You know, he got lucky against Nick Webb in a sense of, there's no lucky punch, but like, he was taking a beating in that fight, a bit of a beating anyway, and then he landed a big shot. That's what he's trying to do. But like, that's such a flimsy strategy. He took that fight on a couple of weeks' notice. He was out of shape, as he always is. It worked once, but it's never worked any other time. And it ain't going to work now. Especially now, given the Nick Webb fight was 5 years ago. It ain't going to work, man. You need to look after your health. If you can afford to have a life outside boxing, flip and have it. But if you've got a young family, like, you don't need to be doing this. I don't care how much they're paying you. Is it worth it in the long run? I don't think it is. That's my thoughts on that. In terms of everything else, I think we will leave it there. for now, I will leave you with that. Obviously, we got plenty of... Oh, yeah, and I must mention, we hit 12k this weekend. Boom. That is, in the space of a week, nearly, 200 subs? It's pretty good going. We hit 400 subs all in all in July. We hit 400 subs all in all this month, which is pretty good going. I'm happy enough with that. 400 subs a month. We can keep doing that. We'll be at 15k before we know it. That's the next stop. So we're nearly there. We're not nearly there, but we'll be halfway there come 12,500. We'll be halfway to 15, which shouldn't be too long. Hopefully we get there quick enough. But I got to big everyone up. 12k subs on this channel is it's achievement. It's a hell of an achievement. And, I talk about this the odd time, but I obviously don't want it to stop there. I want to keep it going. And I've got ideas for it. Change a few things, or maybe change the thumbnails in a few weeks and change it up. Just keep it fresh and other things as well. Obviously, as you know, my main goal is to relocate to the UK in the next 6 months, attend more shows, attend more events, do some more interviews and stuff like that, and just kind of get the ball rolling on everything, really. I'd often said I'd love to do something in journalism, whether it be interviewing, whether it be writing, or whether it be doing, obviously the channel as well. And the more this channel grows, the more people I reach with this, because believe me, the amount of people I find out who watch my videos who are in like boxing media, I'd be just like, what? These are watching my videos? And I'd be like, what? I can't believe it. So when I see stuff like that, it's amazing. And it obviously says, right, look, it's getting out to some people. So obviously the goal is just to keep it going. And I've obviously got targets and goals I want to hit on here and outside of here. And look, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be putting as much effort in if I didn't think I could do it. And I got to thank everyone else for the help as well, because everyone has been amazing. You like and share the vids. And I got to thank everyone. Thank you so much. 12k. What a number. Crazy. It is literally crazy. Like there's towns in Ireland that don't have 12,000. Big towns that don't even have 12,000 people in them. And my channel has that. So shout out to everyone. I thank everyone for locking in. Plenty more to come this week. I'll leave it there. I hope you all have a great week. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. It's free. I don't ask for anything on this channel, except that you subscribe. I don't charge. I'll talk to you. Peace.